Hi, this is Andrei Osachuk. I welcome you to another video training on Analysis Workspace in Adobe Analytics. Today we'll get to know how to compare metrics between different date ranges. As usual, I will start with a blank panel, and freeform table is our best friend. The first scenario that I want to show you is let's compare number of visits for a certain dimension or segment for May and April. So at the moment the date range for the panel is set to this month. I will reset it to last month so that we will have full months of data. This would be May, and as a dimension I would probably pick up a segment that includes those who come to the site on mobile devices, and I will reset currencies. I will replace it with visits, since this is one of the most frequently used metric. And now the question is, what is the easiest action that you need to do in order to get the same metric but for the month of April? And the answer is just right click on the metric, and in the drop down menu or context menu you will have two options: add time period column and compare time periods. And let's first start with add time period column, where you have a few options, and I will pick the first one, which is prior months. This should return me number of visits for April. Let's click and see what will happen. Now we can see number of visits for the months of April. And now let's see what will happen if we change this to compare time periods. So I will just pick prior months to this date range again, and in this case we will get two more columns. The first one will be the same, which is number of visits for April, but another one will show us the percent change. And this 18.72% is calculated as 38.6 thousand divided by 32.5 thousand. And this would show us 18.72%. And this is probably also very easy to build, and you can work with that again and again. Also, I want to explain you what you should expect in these context menus. Every time when you go to either add time period column or campaign time periods, you would expect three submenus. The first two line items would be referring to prior months or this month's last year, and the third one would refer to the custom date range that you can set up manually. However, if you have another panel, so let's add another panel, which would be freeform panel, and we will set the date range in this panel, for example, to any of weeks. I will take last week, and we'll also add mobile visits with number of visits. Now, if I click on this metric and go to these context menus, I would have their prior week or this week last year. And these two, let's say, predefined items depend on the date range that is set in the panel. Since in this panel I have last week, here I will get prior week and this week last year. In the previous panel, since it was set up to months, in the context menu, the line items refer to prior months and this month's last year. So this is the difference that you may expect while you are doing the analysis in Analysis Workspace through these options. Now I want to show you the challenge that many of my students had in the past, And I presume that somebody of you who are watching this video may also have this challenge and maybe even do not know that there is a challenge. The challenge is the following. As we are doing the analysis or preparing the dashboard or report, we quite often change the date ranges we work with. And now I want to pay your attention to the second freeform table where we used the option with compare time periods. So I will even remove the first freeform table so that you will be absolutely focused on this scenario. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change last month to last week. And look at what will happen afterwards. There you go. The number of visits has changed, but the percent change doesn't have any changes. So let's get back. So I will just undo the last change, and you will see that number of visits has changed. So even now, maybe it's not so obvious. So let me probably make a copy of this panel, and now it will be easier to follow. So in this panel, I will update it to last week. And now you can see that the number of visits is the only number that has changed. We still see the percent change set to 18.72%. And this is not accurate. You can already see that the difference is almost 3 times between visits in April and visits for last week. And this is the challenge that I was talking about. So you need to make sure that every time when you update the date range, you rebuild the percent change. Otherwise, this would point to an inaccurate number. And now you may have a question, why does it happen? Why the percent change still shows an incorrect number? And this is because the percent change is actually an advanced calculated metric that is being created and appended to this freeform table at the time when you use this compare time periods option. So let's have a look inside the percent change. Click on the eye icon and you will see a summary of what this metric is. I will even go further and go to the builder to see how it's configured. Here you can see that it's configured with segments, and this is why it's called advanced calculated metric. And in every segment, if you look into those segments, we will see that the segment is built on the static date range. So let's go even to the builder. And now you can see that here we have a static date range from 1st of May till 31st of May. And obviously this will never change automatically while you are changing the date ranges in the panel. This is why this metric becomes kind of static, meaning that it doesn't change when you change the date ranges in the panel. So this is one of the challenges that I want you to be aware of. And there are 2 options, or actually more options, but I will share with you only 2 of them today. The first option is do not use this type of date comparison when you think that you will be updating the date ranges in the panel, because in this case you will face this issue. The second option is to just get rid of the percent change, and instead of the percent change use the visualizations, and this is what I'm going to explain you today. So now let's have a look at what you can do with the visualizations. So it's very easy to build the visualization that will show you the percent change or the difference between two cells. And this visualization is called summary change. Pick this visualization and add it to the panel. So now what you need to do is to select two cells you want this summary change be linked to. So I will select these two cells, and now you can see that the difference between visits in May and April is 18.7%. You may want to log this visualization so that if afterwards you will select or deselect the cells, this number will still be present. So now, for example, I want to show you one more scenario where you may have a challenge with the summary change. I will unlock it, and let's select the cells again. And you can see that now it shows us minus almost 16%. Why this happens? This happens because of how the summary change diagram works. It works the way that you need to always keep in mind the sequence of selection. So if I select first 38.6 thousand as number of visits in May, and then we'll select number of visits in April, the formula will divide number of visits in April by number of visits in May. In other words, this diagram works the way that the second cell is divided by the first cell. This is why you always need to select the cells the way that first cell is the one that becomes the denominator. So this is why I need to select first April and then May, so that the formula behind this diagram will divide 38 by 32 and not vice versa. Hope this is helpful, and now you know how to properly use the summary change diagram, how to correctly map it to the right cells. And the beauty of this approach is that now if we change the date range, it will always automatically update it. So for example, now let's change last month to, for example, again last week. And now you can see that this number still shows us the right value, because this is already 11.5 divided by 32.5, which would stand for minus 64% decrease. However, the percent change still shows us 18.72. Now, I want to show you another approach how you can compare metrics between different date ranges. So at the moment we just work with the context menu that appears at the time when you right-click on the metric. And here we have add time period and compare time periods. Again, would like to remind you that add time period column just adds one column with the metric and the date range that you would select in the next submenu, and compare time period just adds one more column, which is the percent change. And you already know what challenge you may face with if you have this in your freeform table and afterwards change the date range of the panel. So now let me change this panel slightly, so that I will show you another challenge that you may face with. So I will delete what I don't need, the summary change number. I will delete this percentage change, and we'll just keep the visits as a metric. And now let's say that we just want to see the number of visits by day. And this is why I will replace the segment with the day dimension. And now we will have one row per day, and we can see number of visits. And now let's think that, okay, now I want to also have a comparison. I want to compare these 7 days or this last week with another week. And I will right click, and here you already can see that you only can add time period column. The second menu with the comparison doesn't exist anymore. And this is also what you need to be aware of, because now obviously you can add a similar column with this kind of date range segment, but you already unable to add the percent change value or column or metric. This is also something that confuses many users that I have talked to, because they expected that same options should be available everywhere, but unfortunately it's not the case, and this is also what I wanted to show you today. And next scenario is another one that I want to show you, just to probably again stress when that percent change is quite helpful for quick analysis. I will again get back to mobile visits as a dimension or segment in our case. And what if it's not a single segment, but there are many different line items in the table? So it can be either a dimension like page or city or any dimension that may have many rows. In my case, it's enough to have just 2, because what I want to show you is when you want to have this percent change for many lines in your table, this compare time periods actually is a good thing, because when you click on it, you will get this percent change for every single row in your table. And this is the scenario when the summary change diagram may not be as effective as we want it to be, because the summary change diagram always calculates the change between 2 cells. And imagine that this table has hundreds of rows, and obviously we won't be able to see the percent change for every row with the diagram. And this is why I would recommend you to use this context menu to get the percent change calculated for you very quickly. However, again, remember that it will stop working properly when you change the date range in the panel. One of the workarounds for that is to create a percent change manually with some other techniques related to what date ranges will be in the segments that this advanced calculate metric is built with. But I'm not going to show it today because this is quite probably a long explanation, so I will keep it offline. But I hope that you've got the idea when it makes sense to use the context menu to add the percent change, when to use the percent change, and when you may want to use summary number diagram instead of compare time periods menu. And also now you understand the difference between these two methods. Now, I want today to look at a few questions that I found on Adobe community or Adobe forum that are also about date comparison. Basically, there are many questions and they come again and again. It seems that this subject is quite challenging for those who especially start working with Analysis Workspace and want to do proper analysis of different date ranges. So let's have a look at the first question that I found. This question is about time periods and summary change. Basically, we've covered this already, but I want to specifically discuss this question because it's a very good one to understand the challenges that you may face with, or your colleagues may face with, and you will be able to help them to find a resolution for that. So let's read it. This is kind of visualization and analysis workspace, and there are two different date ranges. For our case, it doesn't matter what these date ranges are, it's just two date ranges. And the first issue is with the visualization that showed the entire range. And let's have a look at what that user had. So as you see, there are two date ranges from September 2017 till May 2019. And we can see that the horizontal axis shows us the full date range. And obviously this is not convenient when you want just to compare these two metrics, because in the ideal scenario you would just see what is on the right. So you would just see two lines and they should start somewhere in the same point, but this is not the case for this visualization. And I'm going to show you how to fix it. If you face the same, what you need to do to fix it. So let's go back to my workspace. First, what I will do, I will create this type of comparison that we see in the example in the question. So I will need to just delete everything, and we'll probably do this from scratch. I will set it to last month. It doesn't matter what date ranges I will be using in my example, but visually they should be the same. I mean, how the table looks. I will compare time periods with prior months. Basically what I'm doing, I'm trying to do the same what that person tried to build in Analysis Workspace. So now we have visits for one date range and compare this with visits with another date range. And now we want to visualize this as a line chart. Let's see what we'll have. As you see, this is very similar to what we could see in the screenshot of that person. And now I'm going to just give you a quick instruction about how you can tune this line chart so that you will see a good comparison line by line. So just update the selection in the freeform table. Just select the numbers under the visits, so these two cells. And once you have selected these two cells, the line chart has been updated, and now you can see a good day-by-day comparison. To make sure that it won't change while you are playing with the table underneath, just lock the selection, and then you can deselect the cells, you can select other cells. They will look, the chart will stay the same. So I think this is what that person wanted to achieve, but this is the explanation how to do that. Now let's get back to the question and see what other challenges that person faced with. Secondly, when adding a summary change visual, the value is different than the percent change provided by another platform. And then the explanation is 5.12 divided by 4.56 would seem to equal 11%. But Adobe compare column give back 12%. Okay, so not sure whether this is regarding inaccurate calculation in Google or in this Analysis Workspace project, but let's have a look at what we have in the screenshot. So in this screenshot, we can see that 12.6% is the change between these two numbers. So basically, it's always should be the right value. if the date range in the panel hasn't been changed. This is what we already know with you. So if you calculate the difference, like 5.12 divided by 4.56, you should get 12%. So you can even check that afterwards. If there is a small difference, this may be a result of the round function, because here I presume that minutes is the calculated function, because by default the metrics are associated with seconds, so time spent per visitor in seconds, and I presume that person just added another calculated metric to make the values in minutes, and they may be rounded. So if the metrics are rounded, maybe this something that in seconds would show us a different result. But anyway, you can check, and I'm pretty sure this would return the value that we can see in the table. Now, let's see what other challenges there were. The summary change visual gives back 2.3. And this is what we already partly discussed. So basically, in an ideal world, this summary change would show us 12.06, or just 12%. And here we have 2.3%. So the explanation of this issue is the following. First, we need to check what cells are selected. Second, we need to check what is the sequence of the selection. This is what I already showed you. And third, we also need to make sure that this visualization is mapped to the right source, to the right freeform table. We can't see the color of this visualization. This is why we can't see whether this visualization is mapped to this school program KPIs freeform table, or maybe it's mapped to another table. Maybe it's mapped to other cells, not the ones that we need. So basically, this is the explanation. Again, this is all about the right configuration of the panel with its visualizations. I'm pretty sure that it's a kind of minor issue, but this person just wasn't able to recognize it. So hopefully now you understand what needs to be checked when you do such analysis in Analysis Workspace. So let me quickly add just a summary number visualization. Sorry, not summary number, but summary change visualization. And you can see that it's mapped automatically to the right cells. It shows us 18.7%, which matches this number. So I can also select the cells manually, and you can see 18.7. If I select the cells in a wrong way, we will see a wrong value. This is why I make sure that you select the cells in a correct way. And always recommend you to log the selection, and sometimes it makes sense to remove the legend and just properly name this visualization as, for example, May versus April in visits, something like that. All right, so this was the answer on that question, and I have one more question that I wanted to briefly cover today. Let's have a look at it. So this is another question about how whether this is possible to compare year-over-year percent change. And in general, by default, it's not possible with any type of out-of-the-box capabilities, but it's possible with advanced methods. And these advanced methods are already covered in other videos. And if you're interested in how to visualize year-over-year and year-over-year change, what I call actually year-over-year growth numbers, I advise you to find the videos on my YouTube channel. The first video is called Adobe Analytics Workspace Training Site Traffic Dashboard Part 3, where I show how to build different months over months, year over year trend lines. And the second video is called Adobe Analytics Workspace Training Part 4, and here I explain how to build growth rates. Basically, this is year-over-year percent changes. So have a look, and hopefully this will help you to build the right visualizations. And this is it for today's video episode. Hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions regarding how to compare metrics between different date ranges, how to visualize that in Analysis Workspace. Also, feel free to share your challenges and other best practices that you follow. I'm always happy to get your questions and to get your advices as to what can be done in a more effective way. So thank you for watching, and talk to you next time. Bye. Hi, my name is Andrei Osachuk. I am an Adobe Analytics consultant. I have worked with Adobe Analytics, formerly Omniture Site Catalyst, for more than 9 years and implemented it for about 100 of B2C and B2B projects since 2008. Last year, I founded online courses to help my students learn and practice in Adobe Analytics. We work together on solution architecture based on business requirements, implement Adobe DTM and Launch, configure analytics report suites, set up reporting, and do data analysis while looking for insights. As you are watching this video, you are likely familiar with my YouTube channel, where I share my experience and best practices. Today I'm happy to announce my new video course for analytics developers, architects, and administrators that is called Report Suite Configuration in Adobe Analytics. This course will be helpful for everyone who wants to become a professional in Adobe Analytics. And it's also recommended for those who want to plan to get certified on Analytics Architect and Analytics Developer. Even if you haven't had any experience with setting up a report suite, I guarantee you will be able to create and configure a new report suite within 2 days. The course consists of 31 videos and covers all settings of the Report Suite Manager. In each video, I explain the purpose of the setting, give you examples, and share my best practices for configuration. It will take you about a day to watch all videos and another day to set up a report suite following the guidance. I know that questions appear while doing. You may have an experience that after attending a webinar or a training course, you had many questions. Perhaps you had a very specific situation that wasn't covered on that webinar, and then you felt you didn't reach the desired goal as the course didn't help you accomplish what you wanted. This is why I support my students with their questions while and after the training. Everyone who will sign up for this course will be able to contact me directly. So if you have a question on Report Suite configuration after watching this video course, you can contact me and I will help you. Additionally, I give 30 minutes to every student for personal consultation on Adobe Experience Cloud for free. We can discuss your questions on Analytics, Target, Audience Manager, DTM and Launch, and other solutions I'm specializing on as a multi-solution architect. Sign up for this course to become a professional in Adobe Analytics. Talk to you soon. Hi, my name is Andrei Osachuk. I am a multi-solution architect and consultant on Adobe Analytics, Target, Audience Manager, DTM, and Launch. I began to implement Adobe solutions 9 years ago. Since that time, I have deployed about 100 of B2C and B2B projects. 10 years ago, tag managers were considered an innovation. At that time, all tag implementations were managed as standalone JavaScript libraries and lots of custom code all over the site pages. Today it's hardly possible to imagine how to manage dozens of tags and conversion pixels without a tag management solution. In the past, I actively used Adobe Dynamic Tag Management for tags implementation for small, medium, and large projects. As time goes by, Adobe now offers a new cutting-edge platform for implementing any type of tag on web and mobile. And this is Adobe Launch, also known as Launch by Adobe. Today I'm happy to announce my new Adobe Launch Implementation Mastery course for analytics developers and those who want to learn how to implement text with Adobe Launch. This course will be helpful for those who have never used Adobe Launch, as well as for those who have just started and want to enhance their skills and experience. The course consists of 28 videos and covers all capabilities of Adobe Launch that are essential for the solution implementation and its usage. I built the course with various scenarios commonly used in the implementation practice, so you will get required practical skills that will allow you to build your own implementation right after the course. The scenarios include banner performance measurement, form tracking, single-page application, and other. It will take you about 2 days to complete the full course and get to know all essential components of Adobe Launch. After its completion, you will be able to implement Adobe Launch and any tag or conversion pixel on the website. For those who do not have a test website for self-training, I will create a copy of the website this video course is built on with your own Adobe Launch library implemented, so you can do all exercises demonstrated in this course. To make sure that you are happy and satisfied with the course, I include one individual online training on Adobe Launch with me personally at no extra cost. You will be able to raise all your outstanding questions. Sign up for the Mastery course today to become a professional in Adobe Launch. Talk to you soon.